Hey folks, how you doing this Friday? Cody with IronVerse Comics here. Gonna do another Friday night live stream with drinks. Anybody here, go ahead and do a shout out. I'm gonna make sure we got this music working correctly and not too intrusively. It's good to be here. Good to be able to talk to you, kind folks. Give it another couple minutes here maybe. Laguna, thank you for coming, man. I've got a slightly larger music mix this time. Hopefully we won't be relying on your stuff too much, but I will certainly be doing the plugs I always love. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Did this just, I think, 2 weeks back. The main subject we're doing with here again is Vertigo. Vertigo Comics. The nail in the coffin was placed today. Before it was mainly rumors, but I knew what that meant. You know, they wouldn't be putting out rumors if there wasn't something happening. So today we got official word. I think by the end of this month, maybe. Oh no, by January, Vertigo will be closed down. The label will no longer be used, and DC will simply be putting age restrictions on. Well, not restrictions, but age markings on books instead, so that there's no confusion between Vertigo and DC, which is kind of silly. But, whatever they think's going to help them keep afloat these days. I've got more to talk about on that subject here coming pretty quick. I just want to give it a few more moments, see if we can funnel any more people in here. If not, no worries. Let's see. Yeah. So I am trying other music, so we're going to see if I get caught. Well, not caught per se, but see how stingy YouTube is. This stuff's pretty generic dark country, so we'll see how that works. And then, of course, I've got my mixes from before with the wonderful Laguna Muta and 331 E-Rocks kind of covers of themes. So we got a good mix tonight. Even a surprise or two that I'll be happy to be sharing with you folks. Let's see. Yeah, it was a decent Friday for me. Odd Friday, but decent. Nothing too bad. Everybody can hear me, I'm hoping the mic quality's fine. I'm gonna go ahead and check OBS. It seems to be working. Right on. Well, let me go ahead and do a little bit more surfing. Go over here. Yeah, over here where you guys can't see. Yeah, cool. I'm getting a few. Alrighty. I'll go ahead and do a little bit more plugging. I do want to be able to foster a little bit more here, get more interaction going. Again, I'm going to try and have an open mic, kinda, an hour in, if anybody in my Discord wishes to pop on and ask questions in person or talk or share something, it'll be there. If you aren't in my Discord, feel free to get a hold of me either through YouTube or Twitter, and I'll see what I can do for you on that end. Let's see. So that's the end of that. Alrighty. I guess I'm going to hop right into it then. Been about 10 minutes. That's plenty enough time for folk. Well, about 5 minutes from the schedule. I did start at 8 or at 7 though. Anywho, let's see. What we got here? That's a decent intro there in the background. Again, Laguna, if you're here and you got the moment. How are my levels? I'm not sure how the voice is, and in particular music, if it's intrusive or not. I think I have it turned down pretty good, so we're all right. But I want to make these worth listening to somewhat, to the best of my abilities. That's for sure. Okay, so I think I'm gonna switch from looking over here at chat, as you can see here with chat. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to switch to this screen. Boom. So that's my browser screen here. So I guess I'll do another quick overview, just in case somebody didn't catch my live stream last week or the week before. I believe it was the week before that Vertigo's, the rumors of this were put out there. So there's that. But that's not what we're here. So Vertigo Comics. DC Vertigo, which is what it was rebranded to before they decided, yeah, we're just going to cut it all together and we'll just do DC with age increments. But again, yeah, it was Vertigo's it was DC's attempt to corner an adult market and actually be able to try creator-owned works more and try more risks, which I heard today from the founder, Karen Berger. I think it's Berger. This day and age is very adverse to risk. It's no wonder Vertigo drowned. Popular titles, for instance, you'll see Sandman, Preacher, 100 Bullets. I believe it's Y the Last Man, Fables. Then you had Hellblazer. You had so many amazing titles. I went over in the last live stream. Go ahead and go back a couple streams, folks, if you want me to go through that again. But I'll have this open to help answer any questions that might come up. I have no idea what will. It was an amazing little imprint. It was the punk rock of mainstream comics, and I am so pissed it's going away. And now we're left with Image, which does some good stuff. They're definitely creator-owned publications, and if you're going to do something indie, that's kind of the big place to go. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to keep carving out the IronVerse Comics wherever will take us the best I can. Right now, Wicked Publishing is doing an amazing job, and issue 2 will be out next month. I'm super excited for that. Let's see. We'll go back here. We're going to switch back real quick. Alrighty. Alright, so instead of going through each title like I did last time and such, I kind of... Well, I'm going to take a shot. I'm going to do that first before this bottle stops being chilled and this experience becomes less pleasurable. I'm fine with that later, but for the first few, keep it pleasurable. Right here, we're going to go through CBR's top 10 Vertigo titles of all time. If anybody's in the chat and knows these titles, as I go, please talk about them, because I don't know enough. I know of the titles, I often know of their accolades and successes, but I haven't gotten to reading them. There's so much material. There's so much material out there for everybody to read that it's hard to be an expert in something unless you devote yourself to it. But what Vertigo meant to me was Hellblazer. It meant Jonah Hex. It meant The Unwritten. It meant Fables. So there's a lot of amazing things under that label that I do know, but only a couple within this top 10. I have friends and such who know them very well, but again, it's just how it goes. So yeah, this is what happened. So this back in 2012, I believe. I could double check here on Vertigo Comics Wikipedia. I believe 2012, Karen Berger either was. I would assume they wanted to restructure, but maybe she left because it just became terrible. I'm unsure the circumstances, but after 9 years, the woman who came up with the idea and kept it going left or was forced out. I'm not 100% sure on which. And then, of course, yeah, the cancellation of Hellblazer, which is pretty obvious because they've been trying to make John Constantine more mainstream for a while now. They want an edgy Doctor Strange since Dr. Fate doesn't sell issues like he used to. And John fits that bill. I'm happy more folks get to see John, but the Constantine label isn't as good as the Hellblazer label, and I don't think it ever will be. Alright, yeah. 1993 is when she started. She oversaw the creation of it. And then this is CBR's choice for the top 10. It's not by sales. It's not by anything like that. So that's kind of the issue. I'm hoping it has some of that kind of data. If not, I believe my next article does. And we can talk about it there. Give me a second. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, we'll just keep on rolling. Swamp Thing, the birthplace of John Constantine. I'm not so sure. I haven't read much Swamp Thing. His appearances, I started Vertigo with the trade paperback Volume 1 of Hellblazer, and it ends with Swamp Thing wanting John so that he can have a kid. And I think he needs John's DNA or his body as the medium to get with this lady. And that's how the first volume ends of Hellblazer. So that was one of my first introductions to Swamp Thing. It was cool. He came. John was rolling a cigarette, and fucking Swamp Thing came out of the cigarette and grew into a face in a tree. It was sweet. Gorgeous visuals, heavy topics, trying to find all the magnificence in horror and fantasy. And Vertigo did that very well for a very long time. Super sad to see it go. Super sad to see it go. Double check here again because I can't see it all the time. It's gonna be quiet, it seems, tonight. It's usually quiet. Let's see here. You guys are gonna see this too. Just checking. Actually got a response from Juan Ferreira. He's doing, or Ferreira. I can't roll my R's right now. He's doing some work on War of the Realms, doing some Punisher art, and he's a nice fella. Nice fella. I'm always happy to meet the pros who are really just awesome. There's quite a few of them. You just have to look because they're not so damn loud. They're just doing their art, putting out cool stuff, and trying to build a fan base. And it's not so antagonistic, so it's harder to see. But yeah, Swamp Thing. I guess I'll just read the article because I don't know enough about Swamp Thing. I feel bad about that. I might know even just a little bit more about Man-Thing from Marvel, their response. I'm not sure. I would hope Swamp Thing's older. I think it is. But I'm really unsure. But okay, for years, the Swamp Thing character fit into the classic man made into a monster theme found in many superhero stories. A laboratory bombing caused Dr. Alec Holland to be engulfed in flames and his own experimental bio-restorative serum. Leaping to nearby water, he emerged as the Swamp Thing, a plant creature who longed to regain his humanity. But when writer Alan Moore took over the title in the mid-1980s, things quickly changed. Saga of the Swamp Thing, later retitled Swamp Thing, became a very different comic, exploring realms of magic, philosophy, and existentialism. That's Alan Moore for you. After learning his memories were essentially a lie, the hero had to reestablish where he fit in the world and whether or not he was even unique. Stories took a very dark turn, getting the book a mature reader's warning. It became a place for DC readers who want a story of good and evil that didn't also focus on superheroes. Although Swamp Thing still crossed over with many mainstream heroes for years, and he still does. In fact, I think they've been really pushing him more, because everybody likes the heroic monster. It's why Hulk's so popular. There were also controversial censorship concerns, such as one issue being held back when it showed a time-traveling Swamp Thing being the one to offer a cup of water to Jesus Christ on the cross. Ooh! That's spicy. That's spicy. Moore's long run on Swamp Thing was DC's first serious step towards mature reader comics, a movement that eventually begat the Vertigo imprint. It also led to a long-running spin-off series, Hellblazer, absolutely one of my favorites, which eventually grew to be considered the imprint's flagship title. Yes, it did. Years after Moore left the series, Swamp Thing became one of the inaugural Vertigo titles with the release of issue number 129 in 1993. Swamp Thing still made occasional connections with the mainstream DC universe, such as when he attended Hal Jordan's funeral, or when he fought Batman villain Killer Croc. But for the most part, the creature and his adventures stood separate from the DC universe, until his surprising appearance in DC's 2011 event series, Brightest Day. Oh, he wasn't in Blackest Night, but he was in Brightest Day, huh? That's a trip. The current Swamp Thing series, written by Scott Snyder, not a bad choice, is formally entrenched in the mainstream DC reality, though it certainly retains much of the Vertigo flavor associated with the character's past stories. Now I'm going to take a shot to Swamp Thing real quick. I've been holding it for a minute. If you got any comments, questions, really comments on Swamp Thing, especially if there's any readers later, please let me know. Very curious about the character. I love the conceptual idea of it. Something hopefully I can get to and read. Be right back, folks. Be right back. I'm going to turn up the music for a second, too. See what we got here. I got to pick something new. Yeah, we'll go ahead and give a track from Laguna Muta. We'll go ahead and give the title track, Laguna Muta, from Laguna Muta's debut album, Plugs Out. Or it can just skip while I'm trying to do that and just not work with me. That's an option, too, apparently. Problem being your own DJ. But here it is, Laguna Muta, by Laguna Muta. from Plugs Out, available on pretty much every one of your favorite music stores. Look it up, find it, listen to it, love it. Be right back, folks. Be right back. Alright, I'm back. Laguna asked about DC Black Label. I didn't know too much about it, so I'm going to go ahead and show what little I do know. Yeah, I remembered this book, and I remember it seems to be a little underwhelming, but a lot of my sources are pretty negative on mainstream comics, too, so I wouldn't know until I read it. Turn this down just a little bit. Alright. Yeah, I really wouldn't know. So let me switch to the correct page so you guys can see what I'm talking about here if you're watching. There we go. So he was asking about Last Night on Earth. So DC Black Label is kind of, I think what DC did is Vertigo's Vertigo, and most people were looking at it as Vertigo, and they weren't looking at it as DC. And John, they want to be DC. Swamp Thing, they want to be DC. And there's their titles and such. Maybe they're like under that. I'm really unsure DC's plans for creator-owned titles in the future of this. They're acting like that's not going to change. So, I just the point of Vertigo was so that they could do something without tarnishing DC. They could try stuff. They could be dirty. They could be sexy. They could be violent. They could be druggy. They could be psychedelic. They could be occult. There could be so many things that you don't really want attached to the greater family-friendly DC brand. So, whoever they got in marketing now is, there's got to be a hell of a reason. Killing Vertigo was not a great idea. But they weren't using Vertigo right either. So a lot of people today, when I was talking on Twitter and such, it was a mercy killing. And at this point, it kind of was. I know a lot of the titles of this last round, they did not vet their creators very well, and they went for optics over substance. Not with everybody, not with every book, but what was being tried there, it led to this. I will say American Carnage, I've heard nothing but good things about, Brian Edward Hill's book. But besides that, there wasn't a Vertigo title I was interested in, especially since they canceled Hellblazer. So I have no idea. And Black Label, I guess, is where they want to do dark, adult-themed, normal DC Universe stuff. No longer where Vertigo would be created on this, these are Batman stories. Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. I feel so bad I can't pronounce that right. They're great guys. Good, prolific creators. Again, a lot of the comic news I get is very pessimistic. I really can't comment on anything but what I've seen. It seems interesting. I'm interested in Last Night on Earth. The reviews I've heard of it is kind of lukewarm, but I have no idea where it's going. They're from pros, well loved, well established pros, and they actually have a hard edge to it. It could be good. It could be good, but I don't know. I am just sad about Vertigo. I don't know too much about DC Black Label. They would sell me if they put out a Jonah Hex under Black Label. That would sell me right away, and that's the perfect place for them. So here's to the future. Hopefully it's better than the past, but sad to see Vertigo go. So I'm gonna go to our 8th title under the top 10 Vertigo titles. We're 2 in, got a half hour till we'll see. Animal Man / Doom Patrol. I know Doom Patrol has a show out right now that people like. Swamp Thing did too for a season, and it's canceled before they even got through the season. It's going to air all of them, but yeah, they're not getting another season because it's just too expensive to house the stage because they literally built a swamp stage. You can't hold on to those. But Doom Patrol 2, I've heard good things. People like it. I haven't tried it myself. I have one issue of Flash, or it's a trade paperback, but it's one of the mini ones, really thin one, 48 pages, like an annual. That's Flash and Doom. That was fine. I don't know Doom Patrol very well, and I really don't know Animal Man. The more I see the character, the more I'm kind of interested. I like Grant Morrison. I would like to check that out. Go ahead and switch real quick so you can see. Alrighty. Again, I'll just go ahead and read this. In 1988, roughly 2 years after DC's Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is a lot of fun, I can thank Laguna for lending me it to read it. That's the one. Reset the publisher's continuity. Grant Morrison, he wrote an Animal Man mini that quickly evolved into an ongoing story. In it, the previously straightforward C-list hero, Buddy Baker, I didn't know his name, was taken into strange, abstract realms of conflict. The fact that Animal Man and his fellow inhabitants of the DC universe were fictional was embraced, with Buddy breaking the fourth wall to speak directly to him. Strange aliens comment, so kind of an early Deadpool kind of shtick. Strange aliens commenting on continuity contradictions. You had to do continuity contradiction. And characters remembering and temporarily returning from pre-Crisis. After Morrison's final issue, we saw the writer have a face-to-face talk with Buddy, of course. Things didn't return to normal for the titular hero as Peter Milligan, Jamie Delano, and others shepherded the series and the character into the Vertigo stable. The current Animal Man series, written by Jeff Lemire, is based in the DC universe. Much like Swamp Thing, it maintains many of the previous incarnations of Vertigo sensibilities. That would be what I would do too if I was writing them, and DC's kind of just trying to fold everything into a more wide label. Right on. We'll see. A year after launching Animal Man, Morrison expanded his DC's second string team book. Doom Patrol. Spanish is DC or DC second string. DC or Doom. I don't know what that means. That sentence, the subject or the action. No, the subject of his action makes no sense. After years of the team being portrayed as typical superheroes, Morrison brought it back to its roots as a group of misfits who investigated bizarre foes and off-kilter threats. New heroes included Rebus, a hermaphrodite amalgamation of the previous Negative Man, Larry Traynor, and his physician Eleanor Poole, and a living street named Danny. A living street named Danny. Okay. I love it. The team's classic foe, the Brotherhood of Evil, was replaced by the Brotherhood of Dada. Okay. Antagonists who opposed reason and order, with a teammate whose ability to manifest every power you hadn't thought of. So as long as nobody's thought of it before this guy could do it, that's pretty cool, Morrison. I'll give you that. I might have to pick up some Animal Man now. I got so much. Other menaces included the reality-bending Scissormen. Makes sense. They kind of like, they probably chop through and warp. That's kind of cool. And a scientist who sought to better humanity through chaos and destruction. These stories drew the attention and appreciation of what would eventually become the Vertigo audience. I gotta play editor too. Come on, CBR. I'll play editor. Just pay me. While Doom Patrol was one of the flagship titles of the imprint's launch, the changeover took effect with issue number 64. Exactly one issue after Grant Morrison left as writer, recognizing the importance of the groundwork laid by the writer, the collected editions of Morrison's runs on both Doom Patrol and Animal Man carry that Vertigo label. Huh. So even though the original older ones were under DC, they ended up becoming Vertigo anyway, because that's what happened when they were Vertigo, or that's what led to them being Vertigo. Okay, that makes sense. Alright, so there's that one. Let me switch over here real quick. Do. Okay, over there. And then I'm going to check something. Yes, I am. There it is. Alrighty. A rootin' tootin' tooty tooty. I guess we'll go on to the next one. I'm going to go ahead and go. Yep. We'll just go on to the next one. Their number 8 was 100 Bullets. I actually had a trade paperback. It was like volume 6 of 100 Bullets. I looked through it. I never read it because I'm a stickler. I got to start from even if the beginning's crud. And so I actually lose a lot of shows because the beginning's crud, but it picks up, and I can't get. I have to start. It's a bad neuroses, but maybe I'll get over it at some point. But yeah, 100 Bullets. Publishing 100 issues in just under 10 years, the 4th longest-running Vertigo series in the imprint's history was brought to life by writer Brian Azzarello and artist Eduardo Risso. Readers had little clue that what they were getting into when the book debuted in 1999, but the title's premise was inarguably intriguing. This guy likes his it's not bad writing. Just needs a better editor. People have been unjustly suffered are approached by a mysterious man named Graves, who brings them proof of who wronged them. A handgun and 100 bullets, which are flagged in such a way that their presence at a crime scene will halt any criminal investigation. Right there's the hook. It got me. Stories of personal justice and lethal revenge follow, with varying degrees of success. But are these simply random victims Graves provides the weapons and ammunition for, or is there a larger game being? Very intriguing. It's a kind of a noir thing where there's some justifiable murders, or there's something that like the system allows to happen because these bullets have a tag. That's really interesting. I like it. With gritty realism, intense emotion, conspiracy twists, and memorable dialogue, the series, which never featured any chapter written or drawn by anyone but its co-creators. Massive 100 issues in under 10 years by the same two dudes. Very well done. Won several Eisner and Harvey Awards. Sorry, turning that down. Less than true.
Excuse me, Robo. Any special message for all the kids watching
at
home?
Never featured any. Blah, blah, blah. There have been talks of a live-action adaptation, new attempts at a video game. Boom, nothing has seen through. Years after its final issue hit comic shops, people are still talking about the book. If you pick up the trades, take a moment to notice how each collection's title is a reference to numerical order. Interesting. Yeah, I never read that. Never read that, but the premise is really cool. They weren't lying about that. Weren't lying about it at all. Ah, thanks, Dan. Good to see you here. Right on, right on. Let me see. That actually provides me with an opportunity to do a few things. Go ahead and go up here. Switch that on over. I'm going to go over here, see if this works on this. Well, bam! There we go. Dan, you got your mod status. Go ahead and use it wisely. I'm sure you will. Thanks for showing up. Just sharing about Vertigo, going through DBR's top 10 titles. I don't know most of them, so I'm just reading through. I'm aware of most of them. I don't know them. I didn't get through them. I can't say I've been through them. It would be who if anybody has any comments or anything about any of these titles. Go ahead and put them on in there. But yeah, 100 bullets. I've had a trade paperback. It's prolific. It's gotten around. The premise really sold me right. I think it was this sentence. Yeah, that's the pitch sentence right there. That one's just killer. The killer pitch sentence. It gets you right at the end. But until then, you're just like, huh, that's interesting, and you hear halt any criminal investigation. Gosh, it's really good. All right, next one was Transmetropolitan. This one I don't know at all. I don't think I've heard of it, except by passing by and reading the title. So yeah, that doesn't tell me much. So I'll get to this in a second. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna switch over this real quick. There we go. A little bit in the back. I'm gonna be right back, folks. Be right back.
Right about now, the midday sun is beating down on me. Out there ain't a cloud in the southern sky. Here in my heart, it's as cold as any wintry sea. She said, how long's eternity? I said, as long as time may be. In the white light, there's a big black bird. He's staring down at me. Out there,
all right, back. All right. Yep, by the power of Mod Skull. You do indeed have the power. At IronVerse, you don't get a scaredy cat tiger that turns into a vicious saber-tooth tiger. You get a angry jackalope made of gold, and it just stays the angry jackalope. But you know, it's in the mail, so good to you. All right, Transmetropolitan starts off by name-dropping Hunter S. Thompson, so you know it's going to be a very Vertigo title. It's going to be out there. All right, Transmetropolitan. What if Hunter S. Thompson lived several centuries in the future, where ubiquitous nanite technology has resulted in increased human decadence and apathy to a truly hedonistic level? So, yeah, okay, or technologically assisted pleasure work. All right. This is the world of Transmetropolitan, created by writer Warren Ellis, that makes sense, and artist Derek Runnels. Initially debuting under DC's failed Helix imprint, I don't think I have any here. Sci-fi companion to Vertigo that lasted from 1986 to 1988. Huh. The series followed Spider Jerusalem. They have a comic book name. A gonzo journalist. Yeah, there's Hunter S. Thompson. Okay, constantly frustrated at his calling. I hate it here. Seemed to only increase his fame rather than cause people to be empowered by the truth and change the world. Yeah, that's a Hunter S. Thompson. Okay, it's cyberpunk Hunter S. Thompson. Right on, sold. Armed with cigarettes and an illegal bowel disruptor gun. Okay. Spider, leader's assistant and bodyguard, challenged politics, religious leaders, corporations, people who don't realize that the next generation is becoming more ignorant and morally bankrupt than the last. Appealing to those who may not necessarily be sci-fi or even comic book fans, Transmetropolitan is a mix of commentary and satire that remains relevant today, much like Hunter S. Thompson. Spider can be hilarious in a very non-PC way, and he can be absolutely heartbreaking the next one. After all, the reason he fights so hard to bring the truth to people is because under all of his bluster and hyperbole, he does think there's something worth fighting for, no matter how much the odds are stacked against him. That's comic books. I adore that. That's some wonderful setup there. They're selling me on each one of these titles so far. 3 in. This one, Cyberpunk Hunter S. Thompson. That's got me. That's got me good. That's a solid fucking combo. Oh, okay, yeah, I could talk about that real quick. So, I believe I have his replacement handle, but it was under CO Snow, at CO Snow on Twitter, but that handle's no longer relevant, so I couldn't find it. Find it anywhere else. But he's done 3. There's another I have somewhere where it's kind of more of a crossover, and Jack just kind of appears in a cage for a minute. Pretty funny. But the one on the left. Excuse me, just a second. Probably heard that, probably didn't. Excuse me, nonetheless. The one on the left was the first one. It was the first time I saw Jack animated. And man, it brightened my day so much. That was great. I must have watched it 100, 150 times. That's really easy because it's real quick, you know. The Jack Irons campaign in IronVerse Comics has been blessed with some of the best fans and supporters the world has to offer. And these are some of the proof of that. I have no idea how I've been lucky enough to earn any of that, but I'm going to keep trying to do my best. The one on the right co-stars Rags, or Regina, of Rags fame, and Nerd Wonder of comic book Twitter fame, in a mech. It's a fun one. It's a little bit more involved than the one on the left. It was just cool. It was so cool. Fun stuff. Comics, things like that is why I think this industry has some of the most magic left. You're silly trying to take it. If it's something you want to do. Sorry about lowering my voice there. But getting there, I'm 2 down, and it hit me harder than expected. We're getting to my favorites. So now, this one I'll probably be talking about for a while. I believe Dan's actually a fan too. Dan, if you folks don't know, Dan Sacro, he's the writer-creator of a third of the Mythoverse under Wicked Publishing. He's done Adobe Kroger. They host their own stuff. Dan, if you're there listening, you're welcome to use your mod status, plug the Mythoverse channel, plug the comic. I'm hoping you folks are still in demand, and I am so looking forward to September and reading through those books and having them in hand. There's some wonderful stuff, and in particular, I am most interested in Adobe Kroger. There's something about the vibe you've shown me with your team's art, and with her as a character, with Adobe as a character, that it's gonna fill that void that Vertigo and Vertigo's John is gonna sadly be leaving behind, at least for a while. I'm hoping DC Black Label. Laguna triggered me to kind of think that way. DC Black Label could do some Killer Jonah Hex. They could do some Killer John Constantine, and some Killer Lobo, and they can keep that all in universe and keep it dark. So it could be the right move to be doing what they're doing. Doesn't mean I won't miss Vertigo though. And the fact that I might never be able to have a title with that pretty little imprint on top of it, kind of a sad thing. Kind of a sad thing. Let me see. Let me make sure I'm not missing anybody or any comments. Oh, thank you, Dan. Jack as a character, the goal is to literally put a vessel that anybody can put themselves into, regardless of any outside characteristic or what have you. Jack's been there. It's supposed to be the point. And it's supposed to not take away from their own unique bit, but that he has something similar that he can empathize and move forward. That's really the center core of Jack as the title. IronVerse Comics is kind of like that, but it's gonna be different. Jack's a philosophical piece. The others are gonna be more. Some are gonna be more action oriented. Some a little bit more comedy oriented. Some a little bit more drama. But at the end of the day, it is going to be people finding themselves in a world of horror and trying to find a place in it. You know, it's and then trying to help others in it. And literally, it would be a hellverse. So hopefully some folks will latch onto and kind of see enough of that we get to keep doing it. Yeah, we're on to Hellblazer. One of the titles that one of the 3 titles that got me into comics. The first one being Ghost Rider Road to Damnation, second being The Punisher Max, the first arc. You've got to be specific, but Punisher Max, once I read the first arc, I literally bought all the other books and read all of them. So that was kind of a binge read there. And then it was Hellblazer. I had gotten a little bit into the occult, and Hellblazer was a perfect place to go and kind of see other people's journeys there. Wonderful series for that. I'm going to go ahead and read what these guys have to say about it, and then I'll gush over some of my favorite issues and storylines of Hellblazer. So many that are really actually close to my heart that I really, of showing the light in the darkest dark that you could possibly put out, and still, doesn't matter how tiny the light, it's going to just shine. I love it. Anyway, after debuting, and serving as a recurring character in the pages of Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, British con artist and sorcerer John Constantine graduated to his own series in 1980. Immediately moving away from the rest of the DC universe with stories under a mature reader's label, the comic was one of 1993's Vertigo's launch title. The comic was one of titles. Okay. Again, I'm going to reiterate, they just needed an editor. This guy's good. He knows how to use alliteration right. He constructs the sentences great. Keeps me interested when I'm reading. His typos are almost as prolific as mine. So let me try this again. Try to say this again. Immediately moving away from the rest of the DC universe with stories under a mature reader's label, the comic was one of 1993's one of Vertigo's launch titles in 1993. Where it remained for the remainder of its run. Jeez, I couldn't even get through it in one day without completely reconstructing it. Come on, dude. Late night right. For CBR, I doubt he even gets paid. Since its inception, the series has been guided by numerous acclaimed creators, including Neil Gaiman. I don't know if I've read any of Neil's Hellblazer. Jamie Delano, which I've read plenty of. Brian Azzarello, I've read 1 or 2 of. Grant Morrison, I've read his. I didn't like the one issue I've read of his out of Rare Cuts, but I haven't read any of his runs, so maybe. Warren Ellis, Denise Mina, Garth Ennis, Steve Dillon. Okay, so they're including the artists. That makes sense. Mike Carey, Richard Corbin, Peter Milligan, Simon Bisley, and more. Stories have featured parallel universes, vengeful demons, childhood trauma, drinking beer with the Lord of Hell, prison stories, and the constant moral ambiguity of its lead character, who will sometimes save the world and fight evil, but almost inevitably betrays his friends and lovers in the process. He's always forced into it, though. Or it's the only way he sees out. And, from a personal standpoint, John does not look hard enough, but you might not have time, and ignorance is a bitch. Sometimes it is a wall, and you have to go forward with what you know. So I don't know. It reaches its conclusion with issue number 300, while a separate younger incarnation of John Constantine graduates to a member of Justice League Dark with his own DCU-based ongoing. This guy needed an editor. Not bad, though. Not bad. So, yeah, Hellblazer. I actually should have the cord length to go pick that up so I can trigger my memory. Hell yeah. But there's one issue in particular that stuck with me for a long time, where it's John having to save the soul of a very confused dog in one of his neighbor's apartments. It's gotta be one of my favorite issues ever. In fact, towards the end here, which looks like it's Paul Jenkins' run. Yeah, it looks like it's Paul Jenkins' run. Grab this one too, the rare cuts. So I can tell you what I don't like about Grant Morrison's. But yeah. So Hellblazer. Looking at volume 10, which is Paul Jenkins, Sean Phillips, and Al Davison. I'm not sure. Let me see if I can find that particular issue talking about the dog spirit. This one has another one in Abalon with a John's stories. It's the energetic. How do I put that forward? The series, if you have a baseline in it'll give you a baseline in whole theory, but in a pretty shitty way. But nonetheless, here we go. It was called Walking the Dog is the issue. Okay. It was Paul Jenkins wrote it. Sean Phillips was the artist. It's just there's a humility to one scene in it. They portray Paul, Mr. Jenkins tried to portray the dog the best way he can. Cat is kind of fucked over. But, there was a dude who beat his dog to death, basically, in this house, and the dog spirit couldn't let go of loving his master and couldn't move on. He was still protecting the house or his man. It became a dark thing. But it wasn't its bit. And there's a moment where a Catholic priest comes in to exorcise it because they're sick of waiting for John to get his shit together to come help. That pisses it off, and it's this giant green organic, like amorphous goo with just teeth sticking out of it, just flying out, breaking shit, all pissed off because where's the line? Where's the line? It's like yeah, here we go. So there's a panel I wish I could show you. The priest and John's just yelling, and you can see the ectoplasmic form behind them writhing, teeth and shit. Priest says, "The creature, it's foul, evil, abomination in the sight of the Lord." Yeah, you threw holy water at it. It fucking turned it from being quiet and just kind of pissy to this literal manifestation that's trying to break shit. So John's response was, maybe it's just not Catholic, you daft bastard. Ever think of that? It was that mentality where every belief system had the value and its moments and its use. And they all mattered. They all connect within the universe of John Constantine, very much like I feel they do in our world. That was Hellblazer. That was comics. That was a unique portal I could not find in music. I couldn't find in video. I couldn't find directly in books. Because the visual bit really portrays that extra level to you. Gives it that more bit of clarity that you kind of need with this kind of storytelling. Anyway, they get some virgin piss, but John just has to. He ends up. He gets a steak and he has to soak the virgin piss to lead it out the door, so the dog actually can see and smell and find its way out instead of just focused in the area. But the main point is John, when he does that, it pisses it off, but he has to believe that it's not its natural horrible thing. And once he does, the dog recognizes that this thing, John, isn't his enemy. It turns into his wonderful Alsatian spirit and follows the virgin piss out the door. It goes and moves on. It was stories like that. It really, at the right time in my life, really made a difference. It was magic. Hellblazer was magic. I adore it. Now I'm gonna tell you how I don't like using it. Which is how Grant does in this short out of the rare cuts. They were single issues, I think, that went to print once or twice, and then they were taken out either because of their content or some other horrible thing. But basically, it was issue number 26 26, I guess, of DC Hellblazer. It's not Vertigo Hellblazer. Interesting. Looking at the cover, the Grant Morrison and David Lloyd. Oh, I think it's a two-parter. So not 26, probably 25 entries. Yeah. The art style is eerie as shit. It does what it's supposed to do. I'll give Grant that. It's just a tale of pure evil. There's no good in it. There's no, John doesn't save anybody. In fact, he just becomes part of the evil, and then we just wander out of it. That I didn't like. And it just goes on forever, like I said, for 2 issues. Forced myself through it. I did not enjoy it. Some of the Grant Morrison. He went to a place I don't like to go to, I guess. Which, you know what? That's what comics are for. You should be able to do that kind of art. But yeah, it just was not for me. It's not how I like that stuff being used. There's quite a bit of power. And so just shoving shit in my face. Not my preferred way to use it. But hey, to each their own. Until this content means something to somebody. So go for it. But yeah, okay, I'm going to check comments now. Thank you folks for listening to my ramblings. Appreciate it. No comments? Right on. No worries. I'll go through what Dan said. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what Dan said. I'm sure I will, Dan. Thank you. I'm excited for Changeling, too. I want to see that. Laguna here did an interesting theme for Changeling. I like, it's kind of Nirvana, punky. I like. And Mythics, I'm pretty damn interested. I'm curious where that one's going. I know a little bit less about it, but I don't know much about any of the 3, so I'm really excited to learn. Very excited. Let's go on down. Actually, I'm gonna switch over real quick because I am getting behind on a few things. Let me see. There's OBS. That's what it looks like. We'll switch back to the scene here. I just want to look at something. Yeah, let me look. Yeah. That's pretty. Alright. Anything else worthy of time? Nope. Traction on that. Okay. Boom. Oh, this one. We're on to the Invisibles, huh? All right. We'll work on the Invisibles. I know a little bit about this one in theory. Again, I haven't read it. Oh God, click there. Bam! All right. The Invisibles. Exploding onto the comic scene in 1994, Grant Morrison's sprawling masterpiece explored the nature of humanity and people who push the seeming limitations of society, progress, and imagination. Liverpool native Dan McGowan, a smart-mouthed teen who balks at authority, or balks? The accent on that word, I don't say it enough, balks. At authority, finds himself recruited by a cell of the Invisible College, a group of apparent anarchists who are trying to help humanity and prepare for the great change that is coming in 2012. Oh, yeah, that totally happened. Taking the name Jack Frost, Dane joins the Invisibles, a group comprised of King Mob, Morrison's comic book alter ego, Lord Fanny, Boy, and Ragged Robin on time travel adventures, magical encounters, and battles with vicious, inhuman killers, not to mention a meeting of the ghost of John Lennon. So, there's a very famous speech Grant Morrison gave that ends up talking about the Invisibles a little bit. The Invisibles was a giant sigil for Grant Morrison. He alleges he put himself through a lot of shit by putting his characters through this exact shit. And part of how he bound himself to the book was King Mob. He doesn't talk about that, but I can see how that's how he did it. I don't know. It's a trip. A lot of comic book creators are very fun people, very interesting folks. And, there's a tale behind the Invisibles that's worth looking. I wouldn't mind linking that. I think I actually have the link where I can snag it easy for once, and I'll just dump that in if you guys got time. Listen to it. It's some. It's some interesting stuff. He yells at you right away to get your attention. So, you know, get past that and then just listen to the Scotsman ramble about something. See what you think. But yeah, right there. That's the speech. Anywho, yeah, Laguna does indeed have mad skills. Has for as long as I've known him. Or at least as far as I can remember. Alright. John Lennon appeared in both DC and Max? Both in Vertigo and Max series? He's in Wisdom. A short mini-series that was produced under Max. Kind of the British Secret Service superhumans. And John Lennon's one of them. That's weird as shit. Oh yeah, he's a Skrull. Yeah, he's a Skrull in Marvel. I wonder what he is in Vertigo. He's probably just John Lennon. Ghost of John Lennon, I guess. Huh. Interesting. Just funny things like that. Intended to count down to the year 2000, delays meant the series' last issue, which took place at the end of 2012, was not released until April of that year. During this publication, the title ran into censorship issues and threats of cancellation, finding other works and writers, including speculation that it may have inspired the Wachowski, I think it's Wachowski brothers, Keanu Reeves sci-fi thriller, The Matrix. I love how they had to throw Keanu in. Put some goodwill to The Matrix. Which Morrison himself has referred to as plagiarism. I would have to read it. It does make me curious. I'd like to read the issues and see like how Matrixy it is. Because the overall exploration bit of the Matrix is not anything new, and I wouldn't be surprised if Grant followed the same story archetype that the Wachowskis did, and vice versa. It was just the archetype, not the actual note by note. But it takes note by note to be plagiarism, so I would have to see. But it's been around a while, and the Invisibles continues to be discovered by new fans years after the first. Yeah, I don't know much about the Invisibles except for that one little tale from Grant. I certainly didn't know that the Matrix could be a adaptation through a filter. But who knows? Who knows? Let me go ahead. Boom.
I'm a doctor.
I'm gonna pause that real quick. Let me find. I'm going to give you a word from our, I don't know if I'm ready for 4. I don't know this title, so we'll probably breeze through it. I know the next one. And then I have another article still. Tonight's going to be a longer one. Tonight's going to be a slightly longer one, I think. That's okay with me. There's a lot to talk about here with Vertigo. It's a hell of a, it was a hell of a thing. Hell of a thing to try, hell of a thing to last so long, and hell of a thing to see go. But yeah, actually, I guess I'm going to take one more break. And I'll be right back after this word from our inspiration sponsor.
I'm a volunteer inspector. I don't know what I'm going to be.
Now, finding your future is easy with the Generalized Occupational Aptitude Test.
Get a job that stays.
See how easy it is.
Find your new career.
Vault Tech presents Growing Up. You're growing up. And other things are changing too. You know what that means. Pip-Boy 3000. Part of your life. With Pip-Boy, all life's answers are in sight.
Pip-Boy 3000, part of your life. Pip-Boy 3000, part of your life. With Pip-Boy, all life's answers are in sight. That's right.
Alright, I'm back. Don't forget to pick up your Pip-Boy. Let's see. I think we'll go on to the next title, which I'm not familiar with, and I'm not even sure I've seen a cover of. But I have heard of the title quite a bit. Turn this down, please. you're up to. Just background vibes. Just background vibes. Let's see here. Why the last man? Their fourth choice. Yorick is an escape artist with a monkey named Ampersand and a plan to propose to his girlfriend. Okay. Then every single male mammal except him and his simian companion simultaneously dies. Immediately, the world changes as no one can agree on what happens next. Is it an act of God or a chemical attack from an unnamed country? The end of the human race or a victory for the planet? For Yorick, there are really only two questions. Where's my girlfriend? How can I get to her without getting killed along the way? And just a second. Whew, sneezing fit. Alright, I'm back. Yeah, okay. So it's a quest to propose to his girlfriend through every single male mammal. So all the women of the world are still left. And so he's looking for the specific woman. He's trying not to be killed? Yeah, this is something you'd have to read. It's just so many questions there. that universe and that concept opens up very great. That's the point. You want folks interested. While the series by writer Brian K. Vaughan, I hope that's how you pronounce it, and Pia Guerra found acclaim among critics and fans alike over its 60-issue run. Oh my God, this is a massive run-on sentence. Oh my God. Oh, it's so long. Okay, we're gonna get through this together, folks. Hold my hand. While the series by writer Brian K. Vaughan and Pia Guerra found acclaim among critics and fans alike, over its 60-issue run, the series won 5 Eisner Awards for its exploration of ideas of society, feminism, technology, empowerment, destiny, and faith. Its true importance to the Vertigo line may lie in the timing of its debut. Oh, it's shorter than I thought. It's not the one I thought it was. When Why the Last Man #1 launched in 2002, most of Vertigo's flagship series had either ended or were coming to a close. Vaughn and Guerra breathed new life into the imprint, guaranteeing a new generation of creators a place to explore high-concept stories. Only that had happened again. Alan Moore's Swamp Thing is viewed as the seed that grew into Vertigo. Why the Last Man marked a birth of the second generation of the demonstrating its longevity and viability beyond the lives of its launch. Over the course of Y's run, Vaughn never presented readers with easy solutions to the questions he posed. Answers don't come easy for anyone, and Vaughn's story relied partly on what the reader brought to it. Even the title makes you wonder, is Y referring to Yorick, which makes our duo Y and ampersand, to the Y chromosome, or is it meant to ask why our hero is the last man? Maybe it means all of them. Not bad. See, all of these are wonderful titles. Wonderful stories that have already been told that should be told and read again and again. Let me see. Check for the hell of it. There we go. We're doing, of course, thanks. Thanks, you. Well, now we're on to Fables. The series I wish I could have finished, but it wanted to throw in spin-offs. I just couldn't get a hold. Just a second. Getting a bit of a sugar fix, keep me going. Alright. Fables. Before Grimm and Once Upon a Time graced the airways, writer Bill Willingham, Willingham, yeah, I'm right, brought familiar fairy tales into the modern world in the pages of the multiple Eisner-linked fables. When the mysterious adversary, the reveal on that character, just amazing, attacked their homeland, Snow White, King Cole, Prince Charming, and thousands of other fables escaped into our plane of interest. The mundane, or Mundy world. It's kind of a muggle thing too, so I don't know. But mundane is actually an older occult term. it's better than the one that's actually used mostly, which is the profane. So he was kinder about that. You're dull. You're not horrid. but nonetheless, yeah, that's what that is. Secretly walking among us, hundreds of fairy tale refugees set up new lives in an area of New York City they call Fabletown. What began as a series of stories that modernized familiar characters developed into a multifaceted saga of war, loss, and many characters and agendas that inhabit it. I adore the Fables books that I read. I have, in fact, just recently rebought the trades and again with information on huge world building and epic stories that are the more intimate, which I'm much more used to. You need that overarching effort. It's another title that kept me in comics. I adore it. Fables is very much within comics. For over a decade, Willingham has developed and nurtured the world of Fables through spin-off series and lost me and one-shots featuring characters like Jack. Again, I had to start reading Jack of Fable to get what's going on, and I just couldn't find it. Known for killing giants, climbing beanstalks, and jumping over candlesticks, yep. And Cinderella, Figurepound's chief secret agent and, at times, ambassador. Willingham also ventured into the world of prose fiction with Peter Man, a story about Peter Piper, his wife Bo Peep, and Peter's brother Matt. For many people who never read a comic before, this series has been a great introduction. I would agree. This is a wonderful one, especially if you have a loved one or somebody who doesn't tend to want to read that often. I would say especially women. This is a really good introduction because the ladies in it are strong. The connection to the childhood is there, and they honor these characters, but they turn them into adults. They grew them up, and they put them in grounding, and put them in life. It's a very transformative kind of experience to read it, connecting those two, kind of grinding it together, and coming out through its journey. Fables does it best. I've never watched any of those shows, but I don't think they can live up to what they did in the comics. Closest thing that does is the Wolf Among Us video game, which he didn't actually mention in here, which is a adaptation based on the characters directly from the universe. It's just a separate story, and it's a what if, and we're just using these characters. It's not any storyline that fits into the overarching Fable story or anything. It's just here are these characters, let's do something kind of noir, detective. And it's great. Yeah, it's a wonderful set of games Telltale put together. If you liked those and didn't know there were books, go read Fables. It'll put so much more weight to the game. Let's see. Let's check. Yes, Dan. Yeah, exactly. That's Fables. I really think you guys should check it out too. Any of you guys in the Mythoverse, because it has to deal with magic and with some high concepts that remind me. Because Mythoverse kind of reminds me of like the Librarian. If anybody are familiar with that franchise, it kind of reminds me of that. With a mix of Hellblazer and a mix of Fables. Honestly, Changeling kind of feels like a singular solo title out of Fables in a way, just for a slightly younger adult audience instead of the Vertigo audience, which is Fables. Straight going for it. And Wolf Among Us was going. You get the vibe perfectly. They do a great job with it. The next one is Preacher. People know Preacher. And I know Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon very well. They're two of the biggest presences in my personal collection. Though Preacher, I have not gotten a hold of the books and started them. I tried to start the show, and it just wasn't up my alley. I would assume Preacher will be. I love Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon, but it might not be too. Like Grant Morrison very often is up my alley. I like how he does stuff, but that issue of those two issues of Hellblazer, is not my bag. So Preacher might be that too. I don't know. But let me go ahead and read this quick introduction for people who don't know Preacher. Following the run on Hellblazer, writer Garth Ennis and artist Steve Dillon exploded in popularity with their creator-owned saga Preacher, a series following the adventures of one Jesse Custer, a southern preacher who found himself suddenly bonded to Genesis, a hybrid demon angel. As a result of this bonding, Jesse found himself with the power of the Word, giving him the ability to command anyone and anything to do exactly what he wants. Joined by his gun-toting ex-girlfriend Tulip and a vampire named Cassidy, Jesse went on a quest to find God, who had apparently abandoned heaven. Along the way, they dealt with a terrorist religious cult, vampire worshippers, gangsters, angels, demons, and the literal saint of killing. Ennis and Dillon provided a lot of dark comedy to go along with the deeper themes to hams the series presented, including a man dedicated to writing obscenities in the desert, a pair of sex detectives, and an awkward situation with cannibals. Preacher was a modern-day Western, a love letter to celebrities, political figures, and various aspects of the United States presented simultaneously as a dark humor satire of pop culture and a hard-edged commentary on religion and government. Whether they read the Preacher's views or not, readers discovered an epic saga involving three twisted villains and heroes who simply couldn't bring themselves to give up. Yeah, not much more to say about that. Solid stuff on this one. I believe Medina has started that. Preacher's been a long time. Yeah. On to Sandman. This is Neil Gaiman's little baby that really did break Vertigo into like everybody did. I haven't read much of this. I've read concepts from it, and they seem amazing. Like high fantasy at best, and wonderful thought experiment, philosophical thought experiments presented through narrative. Whew. Yeah, I'm not drinking anymore before I finish this. Before he wrote for television series like Doctor Who, or penned award-winning novels like American Gods, Coraline, and Stardust, Neil Gaiman soared to fame at Vertigo. After making several pitches to DC Comics, Gaiman was tasked with reimagining Sandman, transforming the once brightly costumed World War II creation. So it is the same Sandman. I didn't know that. I thought it was just kind of a silly, like they were two different characters. They're the same name. That's good. Creation to a character decidedly different from previous incarnations. Gaiman took the name literally. In the first issue of The Sandman, introduced Morpheus, aka Dream, Lord of the Dreaming and the living avatar of Storm. Initially, Gaiman's stories utilized many elements from the DC universe. The first two story arcs included appearances from both DC heroes and villains, and Morpheus's cast was comprised mainly of previously existing characters. Theme servants Cain and Abel were the hosts of DC's 1950 to 1960s anthology titles House of Secrets and House of Mystery, two structures that Gaiman revealed actually existed in the Dream. Dream's brother Destiny had previously appeared in Adventure with Superman, and Morpheus's Raven Matthew was eventually revealed to be the spirit of one of Swamp Thing's dead allies. But you didn't need to know any of this to enjoy the series. Gaiman weaved these elements into his tapestry so naturally it seemed as if they were all his own creations and had always belonged in his world of living nightmares and pumpkin-headed laborers. The Sandman was not merely about Morpheus or his family the Endless, the human personifications of the most powerful forces in the universe. It was about us. Over the course of 7 years, Gaiman explored the nature of history, storytelling, sexuality, desire, sanity, family, love, and life. Rather than being an all-knowing, all-seeing god, Morpheus was flawed and often quite petty. Yet he also brought incredible optimism and insight into the human condition. Thousands of people who have never read a comic book in their lives with fans. Series, collections, and spin-off graphic novels landed on the New York Times bestseller list, and one issue, a story incorporating William Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, world fantasy world of short fiction, leading to the rules being altered so that comics were no longer eligible for nomination. The Sandman proved how diverse the comic book audience could be, counting among its loyal fan base not only males in their teens and 20s, readers of all ages. It also led to many spin-offs, including the long-running Lucifer, and a variety of miniseries and one-shots starring Dream siblings Death, Delirium, and Destiny. Gaiman himself has written 2 Sandman volumes since the series ended, and is set to release the 25th anniversary hardcover story that acts as a direct sequel to Sandman Scene #1. A direct prequel, The series ran from 89 to 96, first as a DC Comics Mature Readers title, then helped launch Vertigo imprint in issue number 447. Gaiman Gaiman's deal with DC stipulated the title series not continue under another writer's pen when he departed, and with the release of issue number 75, the series ceased publication. This level of creator control was unheard of at the time, but Gaiman's deal paved the way for future creative-driven series, including Creature, The Invisibles, and Wild. Gaiman's work on the series is so respected, other writers make a point to talk with him before using certain characters from the Final. More than any other series, Neil Gaiman's The Sandman illustrated Vertigo, what Vertigo has to offer, and remains to this day the standard all other Vertigo titles are measured against. Which is a hell of a thing. With, you try and measure what DC Vertigo's like Border Town against Sandman. But yeah, those are CBR's top 10. They all sound wonderful. The ones I haven't read, I should read. It's sad to see Vertigo go. Now this next article does have a lot to mention. I think I might just link this and then just kind of show you some of what happened, so you guys know the depth here real quick. But let me skip that real quick. I can hear. Alrighty. Go over here. No. So, Vertigo was relaunching. There were 7 titles, and only 4 have been published and remain in publication: American Carnage, Hex Wise, High Level, and Goddess Mode. 2 of those series, American Carnage and High Level, appear to be reaching conclusion. The other 3 from the roster have all been canceled or seemingly forgotten. Border Town ceased publication after 4 issues, and multiple witnesses alleged that writer and co-creator Eric Esquivel engaged in a pattern of sexual misconduct. And Second Coming, was canceled before release due to controversy surrounding its portrayal of religious material, but it's being published now. Safe Sex, which was the final title featuring the initial round, was just announced to be moving to Image. So it didn't even get published by Vertigo. Describing this brand relaunch as rocky would be an understatement. The amount of controversy that led DC Comics canceling 3 series suggests lack of confidence from the start. There are still sales for the 4 surviving series, as well as what was released of Border Town. Examining their initial reception might provide additional insight into how Vertigo Comics is. So here's a relaunch graph. Let me see if you guys can see it, because I know we have an animation. Yeah, no, go up. Yeah, that'll do. Perfect. So American Carnage seems to be the most consistent. It wasn't the highest, but it held. There was an audience for it, but not even at 10,000 units in mainstream launch. I would say Vertigo was mainstream, adult mainstream. The launch was good, nearly 13,000, but after that it just wham, almost half. Number 1, power of number 1, kind of sucks. Doesn't give you an accurate figure on where your series audience actually is. It's just like, oh, let's hold these just in case. It's all a bunch of them. It's number 1. They really pushed Goddess Mode, it looks like. Sales, by the way, in the comic industry isn't sales to readers, it's sales to comic shops. And it's not even sales as in what they ordered, it's sales as in what they were given. So, to say numbers aren't fudged would probably be just silly. But they want as accurate as they can be, I would assume. So the numbers are probably accurate, it's just the labeling of things is misleading, I guess is what I'd say. So they pushed Goddess Mode, they pushed Hex Wives, they pushed High Level, they pushed Border Town. They're like, yeah, we'll try there. And what was that? That's about a difference of 2,000 prints right there for what they were willing to push. And it's the same thing between Border Town and Goddess Mode. It's about almost 2,000 prints. So, yeah, they pushed a lot. With issue 2, looks alright. Hex-wise, I was like, you know what, we'll hold it. I mean, the initial drop is as you expect. Hex Wives, it looks like, and then American Carnage is the only one to make the gauntlet. It looks like. Oh, I don't know, folks. The numbers don't matter much now, but this is what it looks like when things aren't going right. When you start, you mark in a lot of different things that aren't quite on you. But who knows? Just it is sad to see that. I think there's one more. This gives you an idea of other the sales at other companies, if I remember right. Yeah, okay. All three of these comparable brands, which are Image, Jinx, and Vertigo, or Image, Jinx, and I guess Sandman by itself, just Sandman. This kind of shows you how Vertigo's been doing. Again, it wouldn't push too much the debut on average. So just a Sandman debut back in the day would debut that high. Whereas an average Vertigo title these days debuts there. An average Jinx title, which I haven't even heard of Jinx before I saw this these set of graphs. That kind of tells me something. And Image, which I had heard of, it actually debuts, their issues debut lower than Jinx issues. That's a trip and a half. I'm going to have to look into Jinx. If anybody in chat knows Jinx, let me know. If there's a title from them I should check out, please just let me know. I have no idea about that company. But yeah, none of them coming close to 30,000 except for just Sandman himself. And then after that, you know, the issue, the grade, even Sandman goes down by about 10,000 sales between its number 1 and its number 2. It's a hell of an industry out there. I just wanted to a few other graphs. I'm going to just go ahead and link you this article if you're still interested. There's probably a lot of good information in it. If it's something to look at. Got good numbers, it'll kind of tell you what happened. Seems to have less typos than CBR. Didn't have to do much editing, but I didn't read as much either. Okay, 8:30. I can open it to questions if you folks have any. If not, I might close it out in the next 3 minutes. As you can tell, I'm a little bit more off foot than I thought I would be. So it might be just as well. But I'm happy to engage too if we have something to talk about here. Let me go ahead and switch windows here so I can look and see if there's any inspiration. Go over here, ba-bam. Yeah, that's what I expected. And up here. I guess I can close up a little bit more IronVerse news because there's not too much. Jack's still at the printer. I hopefully will have a copy by next Friday. A proof by next Friday. But I'm unsure. I'm gonna have to check in and double check that date. The plans are for printing in July for our backers and shipping in July. So you folks should be having it throughout next month. I'm super excited to see and hear people's responses and reactions and learn more about what we've been doing all this time and see if it's something that's worth continuing. With our next step in July, there'll also probably be another crowdfunding campaign from IronVerse Comics for a separate title. If you guys have been following it all, you'll know what title. If not, you'll find out. There's no need to put it out just yet. I'll probably be running pretty much all the PR for that. I'm half you'll see. I'm really excited. It looks like a lot of fun. There's actually going to be a lot of content done before we launch, and the plans are already set. There's a few things we'll need to really confirm, but I'm excited for that. Let's see. After that, I have another piece coming out in July or maybe in August. August. It's got to be in August. I've got a short story coming out in August. The third piece I've done for Ashcan Publishing. It's another IronVerse piece, so if you want to get the full story of what's been created so far, also make sure and check out Ashcan Publishing. Cheap books, a fun model, lots of passionate creators, and you get to see a different type of my writing if you're interested. I enjoy it. Let's see. Check real quick. Alright, I could do other plugs, but I think I'm just going to call it. Make this one nice and sweet. It did its job. There's not much more IronVerse news than that. There's another title that hopefully will be getting some more work in here soon. It's already been kind of in production for a little bit, but been a little bit more hush. I'm hoping to debut some more information about that with Jack number 3's campaign, which I do plan on doing no matter whatever issue number 2's reception is. But I want to see what issue number 2's reception is. I'm excited. A lot of different work. It's a different vibe, and I'm interested because the rest of the series is going to be much closer to number 2 than. Yeah, well, I thank you folks for coming. Thank you for listening. Thank you for participating. Thank you for coming by later. Thank you for, if you got this far to hear it, thank you. This is a hell of a thing. I don't think I'm ever going to miss a Friday if I can help it. If folks have any questions about our work, about comic books in general, I usually run a AMA on Twitter where I'm trying to collect the questions on Thursday through Friday. We also have our Discord. Contact me through Twitter or other means. I believe there's pretty much any place where our content is, there's a messaging system, and you're welcome to hit us up. Tapas, Patreon, Facebook, Subscribe Star, Instagram. Find us somewhere and let me know. Shoot me a question or two. I'm most likely to catch it on Twitter though, or the Discord. If you want in the Discord, let me know. I can do that. I've been having some open slots for a little bit. If you guys can catch those and want in, it's the best way to get all the information I can deal with out to you folks. Makes it easier to communicate with our supporters and our fans. Find out what they want. Give you a fun place to meet other fans and comic creators. Ask them. A good place to just brainstorm and hang out. I've been enjoying it so far. So far, we've had no troublemakers. No need for the jackboot, and I'm hoping that'll continue. And I guess this will be me, Cody, from IronVerse Comics. And I'll see you on that old IronVerse Comics trail. Hopefully with issue number 2 next month. Next week on Friday. If I have it, maybe I can do something special with that. I might not have it, though. We'll see. Anyway, thank you folks for being here. Love y'all, and I'll see you later.